Hello, Internet. How are you? I hope you're having a happy Friday. I had a really great question a while ago about empathy versus sympathy. And is it possible to fake empathy? Now, note, I am not a psychologist, nor am I a psychiatrist, but I can tell you my perspective of the difference between empathy and sympathy. And the person who asked, I think, was trying to decide if they were narcissistic. So first off, I want to put everyone at ease that everyone is narcissistic. Now, don't freak out first. Being narcissistic is not horrible, right? If you take a shower, you go to work, you have lunch with your coworkers, you go home, you kiss your kids, or maybe not. But if you decide to live in society, there are certain rules that you follow, correct? You have to bathe. You have to work. You are deciding actively to play the role that society has fit for you because you don't want to live in the woods and kill a bear, right? That's narcissism. Now, that means you care about your lifestyle. That means you want to maintain a certain lifestyle because you like the life that you live. If you have any kind of self-reflection and introspection that will please you, you're narcissistic. Babies are narcissistic. I know there's some debate about that, but if a baby cries to get fed, that is narcissism. But it's not bad, right? The only time narcissism is bad is when someone else has to pay a cost that is detrimental to them. Let me go ahead and say this to the people in the back. The only time narcissism is bad is when it is at the detriment of someone else. So the person who asked this question, I wanted to verbally tell you, you're not narcissistic. You're not hollow. You're just hurting and you're in pain and you don't know how to deal with it, so you've numbed yourself. I know this because I've done it too, right? I have covered up my hurt in the swaths of stoicism. It's okay. Everyone has a defense mechanism to protect themselves. But you asked the question about empathy versus sympathy. First, let us go to the Oxford Dictionary for empathy. Empathy, noun, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Affinity with, rapport with, understanding of. Now let's go to sympathy. Feelings of pity and sorrow for someone else's misfortune. Understanding between people, common feeling. Note that was definition number 2. Feelings of pity and sorrow for someone else's misfortune is number 1. Now you may say, oh, Supernova, those sound the same. No. They are not. You see, here is where you are listening to this, dear empath. It's something you can do that a narcissistic person cannot do. I would actually amend that. What a narcissistic person refuses to do, because I still will put power in their hands that they can change if they want to. They just don't want to change because how they act and what they do is acceptable to the people around them, and they have no option to change, really. They have no desire to change, so they just keep doing what they're doing. Now, I'm going to quote a very 90s song, so forgive me. How many of you have the Sneaker Pimps in your CD collection? That tells my age, right? Or your MP3 collection. I'm going to quote a line from Six Underground, and I think this sums up the difference between empathy and sympathy. And I quote, "Don't think that I understand, I care. Don't think because we're talking, we're friends. That is the difference between empathy and sympathy. Now, it may sound cold at first, but it really isn't. Sit back and think about it. Empathy means that even though you don't like this person, you can be in their shoes and understand the motive of what they're doing and why. Okay? You can understand why they do what they do. You may not agree with it, but you can understand it. Sympathy is when you share another person's burden, but you notice sharing does not mean understanding. I know. So here's the thing. Narcissistic people refuses to put themselves in another person's shoes, right? Because they know that they're assholes. They know that they're hurting you. But for them to step back and put themselves in your shoes would brutalize their ego. It would literally, in 0.0 seconds, make them realize they're the villain. They already know they're the villain. But if they empathize with your pain from the cheating, from the triangulation, from the verbal abuse, from the sexual abuse, from the physical abuse, that means that they are not the hero in their movie. That means they are the villain in their movie. But, they can sympathize with you because sympathy can be faked. Empathy cannot, but sympathy can be faked. We have a term in the West called crocodile tears. That just means the water that leaks out of a crocodile's eyes when they go underwater and come back up. It looks like they're crying, but they're not crying at all. But it looks like it. When a child cries for a snack, their toy, attention, it's not genuine, right? It is just a way to get attention, right? Sympathy can be faked, and sympathy is faked massively by narcissistic people because the people they pick on are looking for sympathy. They're looking for caring. They're not really looking for empathy. They're looking for someone to care, someone to tell them that they're not the bad guy. And a narcissist will completely put on that suit and they will lie to you and set you up to be vulnerable so that they can use you. They can fake sympathy, but they cannot fake empathy. That is why the discard happens, because the empathy starts to kick in. They start to see that you don't look at them the same. You become a mirror of what they are. And that's when they have to go to someone else. That's when they have to go and fake sympathy for someone else's wounds and then have a different mirror. So to the empaths who think that they're narcissistic, if you even ask me that question, that means that you're not. No narcissist will ever ask, am I a narcissist? They will always blame you for being the narcissist, or they'll blame their boss. Narcissistic people, narcissistic personality disordered people never, ever, ever 100% of the time accept accountability for their actions. They always blame someone else. Period. They have no empathy, or they refuse to use their empathy. So I hope that helps. You have empathy. You can relate to someone on a deeper level. You can evolve love. You can evolve a friendship. You can deepen bonds with people. Empaths are the people who don't die alone. Empaths are the people that have friends for decades, not associates, not buddies, but someone who would take a bullet for you, someone who would help you get your first house, someone who will get you out of jail. That's the kind of bond that you want to have. And only an empathic bond does that, because you are sharing yourself, but you are also accepting what that other person is giving you. Sympathy is not the case. Sympathy is saccharine. It is fleeting. And most of the time, it's a lie.